Hey everybody, I wanted to hop in here today and share a little tip for you guys of how I normally decide which f-stop to shoot at when I'm shooting portraits, when I'm shooting details, when I am shooting a wedding day, and just kind of the quick thought process that I go through to decide which f-stop to shoot at. Okay, so I went ahead and just grabbed three pretty random images from the wedding that I second shot with my friend Jess this weekend. And basically, I typically shoot almost all of my images of like couples and portraits around f-stop 1.8 to 4.0, somewhere in there. My default is f 2.8, and f-stop is also known as aperture in case you guys are confused by that. So you can see over here that I shot this at f 2.8, which is this is my kind of go-to aperture. One reason I really like it is it allows you to kind of keep the background somewhat like blurred out, but it gets them in focus really well. And sometimes I'll go up to f 4.0 if the groom or someone is a little bit further back, or I really want to make sure that I capture like motion that's happening. But this is kind of my go-to quick edit of an f 2.8. You can tell the background is blurred, but really like even the back of her is still really in focus. And yeah, so here the second image is actually we're gonna go to this one first. So this is f-stop 1.8, as you can see over here on the right side. This is also once I've shot a few images of the couple at f 2.8 to make sure I get everything sharply in focus and everything, I will usually shoot at f 1.8. I really love this because it still keeps the people pretty well in focus, but it kind of gives a little bit more of a blur and bokeh to the background that I think is pretty similar to how film tends to look. So as you can see, all of this is still in focus, but as you get a little further back, he's not quite as in focus. It's a little more blurred, and then you get some of the prettier, bokeh around the edges. And it's not too far off from f 2.8, but I think gives it just a little bit more softness to the image that I tend to really love. And then lastly, this image was shot at 1.2. So the lens that I shoot on like 90% of the time is a 50 millimeter 1.2 lens, and so that's the lowest f-stop that you can go, which basically means you're keeping the least amount of stuff in focus, and then everything else is going to fall off kind of behind, a little bit more blurred. So I love this because all of the edges get really, really blurred. Really all you're getting is about this small part of her and their hands in focus, and then everything else starts to drop off behind them really well. Even like the bottom of her dress gets a little blurred towards the edge. Some people really don't like this. Some people love to have everything very in focus, and it's just a stylistic choice. But a lot of times when I'm shooting more romantic images of two people, I like to have a little bit more of that blurred fall off and that beautiful background right there. It's a preference for sure, but what I tend to shoot at least a few images of every session is at 1.2. And then I wanted to go over one more. Where are we? There we are. So I shot this at f 1.8. A lot of times details I'll shoot somewhere between 1.8 and 4.0 as well. I had shot a lot of f 4.0 of all the details, which a lot of couples really like to have everything in focus and you can see everything. But then once I've done that, I like to shoot a few at a lower f-stop to get some more. I just think it looks a little bit more romantic to have things blurred. This probably wouldn't be an image that I would use because you've got this guy back here, very blurred out guy, and some other stuff. But, a good example of what it would look like to shoot at 1.8 where, the focus is like very minimal and everything starts to drop off and just feel kind of romantic, and the lighting is great. We had I had a backlit flash back here, and then I had a flash on the other side facing this and then bouncing. So I had some front light and I had that beautiful backlight right there that kind of gives that rim to all those images. And that's a few examples of what f-stops I shoot for portraits and then for details. What's not shown on here is when I do shoot details, I tend to do a much higher f-stop, somewhere around 4.0 to 5.6, and sometimes even higher, especially when I want to make sure that all of the details in the invitations and the rings and everything are really in focus. So that's just a small example of kind of what I go through when I'm thinking about what to shoot, what f-stop to shoot at. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to message me and just let me know, and I'll make a video about it. All right, thanks guys.